Hello, this is Yehna.
Hi, this is Jessie.
We are super excited to be back with another episode. Oh my goodness, it's been over 2 weeks since we recorded, so we might be a little bit rusty. But anyway, we wrestled through many different questions. We wanted to invite you and elaborate more on the question. They say time heals, but does it actually heal? So welcome and join us
At
at the
the
table.
table. Does it actually heal, though? We
Does
shall
it?
see. I love
Uh,
how when we were planning on what to record and what to do for our podcast episodes, we're like, let's do the heavy ones or the lighter ones. And we're like, wait, all of them are heavy. So let's just go in order because they're all heavy topics.
they're all good. Don't get us wrong, but we can't choose a quote unquote lighter one out of these.
We're just going in order here. So the first one is they say time heals, but does it actually heal?
Mm,
And this is kind of inspired by our scars versus or wounds versus scars episode way back. I think it's like the first 20 episodes or so, right?
episode 24. I just looked a couple minutes ago.
Oh, 24. So if you're
Yeah,
interested in listening to that one, check it out. But that's been a while now.
I
So we are
know.
kind of, yeah, inspired by that. As we process and keep each other updated on how our lives are going, we're realizing that there are things in our lives that have healed, we've healed from maybe like a
Mhm.
year or two ago, and that's something to celebrate. But there are other things that still sting. Man, why is that? I thought I would be over this by now, but why am I not?
For
And
real.
trying to talk through it with you guys of the process of why that is. Yenna, why are there still things that still sting in your life?
I ask that question every day. I'm just gonna rip the band-aid straight up. I think when people still ask me, how was your college experience? I'm not gonna lie, it's so hard to keep a straight face. It's because they're usually the people who ask are in contemplation of sending their children to Wheaton. And I do not want to ever bring in my bias and my own experience to their decision making. But oh my goodness, do I have to like pinch myself when they're asking that? And I think in those moments, more than wanting, obviously I'm fired up in my heart, but I'm also the split side of me is thinking, yeah, like, why can't you get over it? My mom was reminding me that this is going to be my third year since graduating. And yes, it's still like not that long ago, but it's still long enough that I should not care this much. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I'll be honest, I don't have like a concrete, beautiful, worded thing to cover up why I'm hurt, but the ways that I've worked through all of this is to, I know it sounds so cliche, but really focusing in on the blessings that I took out of my college experience. Because if I start naming them, there's actually so many. But because of that one or two really, really deep-rooted pains, it sometimes completely takes takes away the fact that I've had really good experiences in college. I don't know how to put a bow on it. It's just the pain
There's
is
no,
still there.
I was gonna say there's no bow for this episode.
No.
So,
Mm-mm.
but that got me thinking, okay, I'll ask this question before um I say my other thing. But
Okay.
so is it because we haven't processed it enough,
Hmm.
or is it because it kind of hits some of our enneagram, like going to the referring to the enneagram, like because it hits some of our childhood wounds
Ooh,
that we have?
that is actually a really good question.
And like hitting the core of who the lies we tell ourselves. And
Hmm.
be that for you was your college experience. And through those things, it kind of not attacked, but really heavily affected you as an Enneagram 9? Or do you think it's just because there's some unprocessed things that haven't been ready to be processed? And maybe it's a combination of both, right?
Right, right. I definitely think it's a combination of both, but I love that you brought that up, the Enneagram part up, because I'll be honest, I don't weirdly, as someone who loves the Enneagram, never thought about it in that light. And since you
Mm.
mentioned that, really, if I refer more to my student teaching experience, that's basically what happened and never was resolved. I was gonna say till the end, and there was no ending. It just continued. Uh, Basically, my voice that wasn't heard.
Mm.
I mustered up every ounce of my body's available courage to advocate for myself and the unfortunate experiences I was having. And it looked like people were coming beside alongside me. Okay, wait. Disclaimer, there were people who came alongside me, but the
Mm-hmm.
people who had power who came alongside me and did not really do that. Did that even make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm when I say people who didn't come alongside me, I want to make sure that people are aware that there were, but the people who said with their voices that will help me walk through it, blah 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 blah. I got to the finish line, and that was only because like it was just time for me to go. It was not because there was any support or anything. And they disregarded the pain that I shared with them, and they completely almost belittled me and turned it so that it was my fault. And I think because of that, so much of my wound was like almost like confirmed. Yena, like you never should ever share what hurt you, or else this is what's gonna happen. So
Mm. So, like, your worst nightmare came true.
yeah,
And that unfortunately was your college experience.
yes,
Whereas maybe if you experience this in a work environment, maybe that would, like it just
right,
so happened to be Wheaton, which sucks, right?
exactly. I don't think I worded it. I said it. First of all, it's not worded well, but I never like verbalized it so clearly on a podcast.
That's
Well,
great.
here
Well,
we are.
this this is what this is for. So that's great.
That's so crazy.
Huh. Yeah, what is a good indicator that time has healed something?
At least for me, when I start talking about something and I find myself stumbling over words or having to pause or I get flustered with myself, that's a big indicator I'm not ready.
Mm,
Because I think as an Enneagram 9, when people ask me about deep things or whatever they ask me about, I want to do my best to like share because maybe I don't know why, but I just want to answer their questions. I want to show them that I'm not trying to ignore them or hide anything. And so without even processing, I start talking and then I realize, oh, Yana Kim was not ready to share that. Um,
mm,
but so like the opposite end, if I'm able to share it with a lot more grace and a lot more, I guess I'm just slower to sharing certain things. That's when I know, oh, my brain is a lot more organized when it comes to this event. And I have more wisdom in what to share and what not to share
mm,
because I know some things are just irrelevant or some things are just not needed to be, or it's better to keep private. And
mm,
that was organized because I had time to heal from it. And
Yeah,
so,
you have
mhm,
processed it, and so you have a
exactly,
clear, articulate depiction of how that experience was for you.
exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I was thinking is that I've learned, I think, over the past couple of years is that yes, healing is an uphill battle, but it's not a clear, straight uphill.
Mm,
There are going to be lumps of, oof, I feel like I'm taking steps back. It might feel like, oh, shoot, no, I'm actually going backwards. And that's okay because when I think about this question of, yeah, they say time heals, yes, a lot of things in my life, it has healed.
mm,
But there are certain aspects of that experience or certain things that still linger in my heart that come back again. And I'm realizing, yeah, fully healing from something is going to take so much time. And that is okay.
mm,
Just because it's happened years and years and years ago, and you've done a lot of processing, you've put in the work, it's okay that some things are still left unhealed. Because I think for me, as being a self critic and being I don't know, having so much expectations for myself,
Mm,
I'm like, well, I've done everything in my power that I can do. I don't want to feel this feeling that it's still a wound, it's still unprocessed because that's not true. I've processed it as much as I can. So what can I do? And sometimes it's realizing that there is a God bigger than us that does that
amen.
for us. And that's why you need God. I'm wanting to heal from something. I'm realizing I cannot do it without his grace.
Ugh,
And
so true.
yeah, it leads to no self help book, no meditation, no
Mm,
living it out, none of that. None of what the world offers for us to heal will allow us to fully heal without Jesus
right.
Christ. And so being reminded of that has been helpful, but
Mm,
also being realistic of this is where we're at and that's okay. You
hmm.
still have stuff from college, that's okay. Um but just being real with where we're at and
Yeah.
not trying to be somewhere that we're not, you know?
Mm. The biggest thing I had to learn when it came to true healing was that I needed to bring everything to the light.
Mm,
Even the things that, whether I was ashamed of or thought, and another thing that I always get so worried about when I talk about it is like, oh my God, that's so heavy. Like, Yena, why are you such a Debbie Downer all the time? Why do you always have to bring up trauma? Like, you know what I mean? Or why do you have to always bring up the past? You just live in the now, you know? I always thought I was kind of killing the vibe. And obviously, there's a time and a place to share. But at the same time, what it is when you are in a community of people who want to see you is, and a part of the healing journey is no longer keeping it in the dark where
mm,
the devil wants you to keep it, because that's where he wants you to
mhm,
stay, in the cycle of shame, in the cycle of destruction. But the
mm,
moment you bring it out, you know, there's some things you talk about and you're like, that was not as big of a deal than I realized. And don't be ashamed of that. Be encouraged to say, oh, this is something I can walk through. I can be
mm,
overcome through this. Don't get me wrong, the feelings are still there. The pain you experience is so, so real. But at the same time, nothing is too big or too painful or too
mm,
disgusting or whatever for God to want to be with. I mean, Jesus literally touched a leopard to heal him. And that was such a significant thing. He didn't have to touch the leopard to heal him. Jesus
mm.
could have just said, I heal you. But the act of touching was to say, nothing is too dirty for me. And so
Dang.
that was something I needed to understand, what God's love is so beyond our comprehension. And he
Mm,
doesn't need to do the things he does, but he knows our finite mind needs to see and experience that, to know and
mm.
experience his love. And so, yeah.
Amen. You are preaching out
No.
here. And that is why the body of Christ is so beautiful
Mm,
and something that we've been able to experience in a healthy way.
yes.
And has been such a joy.
It's such a joy.
Um, yeah, this makes me so happy just to be
Yeah.
able to celebrate. We're still a work in progress, but we have each other and we got to use that opportunity to, God's given us this. And so why
Mhm.
not be together, grow together, and share our burdens? So, thanks for sharing that, Yana.
No, I think I talked
And
so much in this episode.
no. Hey, clearly I just knew this is what we needed to,
Yeah.
talk about today.
Yes.
But to those of you that are still working through those pains, I just pray that you would know that you are not alone in it. There are people around you that do care and that want to share that with you. I even think about my parents and my grandparents. There are still wounds that, man, I can just tell are so evident and my heart breaks. And so it might take you your whole life, but we can start now. And
Yeah.
I just pray that we be reminded of God's love,
Yeah.
and that'll allow us to know that, yeah, his grace is so much bigger and he's so gentle that we can come to him.
Ugh, this was so good and painful all at the same time. Anyway, this was obviously, I kind of put a Jesus bow on it, but at the end of the day, it's a work in progress. And I hope you feel encouraged and almost challenged to find someone maybe to talk about something today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we did right now. And anyway, again, if you want to refer back to part one of wounds versus scars, you should definitely check that out. It might be episode 24. If it's not, it says wounds versus scars, so you'll find it. So we are on Spotify and on YouTube, and our updates are on Instagram. Thank you for listening and excited to share more on our next episode. Until then, bye.
Bye.